It's 5:30 p.m. And this is a special meeting of the Paris City Council. The date is August 27, 2013. I'm going to call the meeting to order. As we had mentioned before, there are presentations from different contracting firms, engineering firms, and various consulting firms on the new water and sewer project that we are thinking of doing. Today's presentation is by AECOM and Mr. Chris Donnan. Is that how you pronounce the name? Don D. Adams is going to present. So please come on up and start your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me this evening. I'll see if the AV is working here real quickly.
You'll have to come close to the mic.
I just want to see if this is
Okay.
working real closely here. Maybe if I do that, it's a little bit better. Okay. So very informal presentation, brief presentation, which I think you'll appreciate as well. We want this focused not so much, at least my thinking was not on self-promotional about AECOM, but also maybe spurring a little bit of a discussion on some of the issues we've seen on similar programs. And we see ourselves as a resource to you, and hopefully some questions come of that and we can answer some of those. So the title of it is Getting the Best Value Delivery of Capital Improvements. We wanted this focused on delivering capital improvements, not so much program management. We think this is about delivery and value. That's our agenda for this evening. Why are we here? Some of the potential issues, maybe an illustration of how this might work, and then open it up for Q&A. Why are we here today? From our understanding, your goals for this capital improvement are to renew, replace infrastructure, have that be part of your economic development, and hopefully reduce some of the capital costs that you are spending on repairing some of those things. And so that was my thinking in preparing some of this presentation. The formulas or the ingredients that I feel may be important to constructing a high-value capital improvement program support team for the City of Paris is number one, a CIP management experience and a bench strength of resources. That's really where AECOM comes in. We'll talk a little bit about our bench strength and depth of resources that can help supplement your staff. But one thing became important, and we reached out to local folks here to get a better sense of really what the fabric of the community is, what some of the issues are. And we reached out to Hayter and HWH, Harrison Walker Harper. And really, I expressed to them, a firm can't really do this without local knowledge. We've got to tap that local knowledge, and that includes both your staff as well as some of the folks that understand the engineering and construction aspects of your community. So that's what those other two ingredients are about, is the local knowledge of your processes, your existing resources. We don't want to duplicate that. And then local knowledge of your construction skill set, which, as we'll see, is an important element and an important ingredient. Please interrupt at any point if you have any questions as well. So a little bit about AECOM. Engineering News Record is one of the trade magazines that ranks firms. We are number one in several areas, one of them being program management, construction management. Approximately 45,000 people internationally, 10,000 U.S., and we have a skilled base of well over 600 people here in Texas. We are the second highest number of registered engineers in Texas. Trivia question, number one is TxDOT in the state of Texas. So, and there's a little bit of a graphic on some of the capital programs that we've worked on in Texas. Further expanding on that is the range of programs and capital improvement support that we've worked on. A couple of my co-workers are here that have worked on that. One of them is the Tarrant Regional Water District Integrated Pipeline. So you can see just from the right-hand side of this graphic here that these things range from billions of dollars to $50 million type of programs. So these are very scalable processes, and we think that that is of benefit and something that we can to bring to y'all. This list is longer, but we wanted this focused on Texas programs, Texas delivery. So let me talk about maybe some potential issues that you may be facing and some of the things that we see usually at this stage of the game. Some of the questions may be, why outsource? Why add staff to your existing staff? What is the value and the return of outsourcing? What is the best fit delivery model? This is about delivering value to the citizens. What is the best conduit for that? What is the risk that you all want to retain versus what is the risk you want to outsource to others? What level of transparency do you want to have with the public? As we're seeing these days, transparency is a significant issue in the public. Another issue may be starting quickly. Y'all have done some planning. How do you hit the ground and start quickly and show some results to your base? And also capitalizing on existing knowledge. You all have staff, you all have resources. You don't want to duplicate that. You don't want to double pay for someone else to come in and duplicate that effort. And then infusing new knowledge, something that can maybe be used not only on this phase, but in future things. We'll speak to that in a little bit. Things that, what we call the legacy of a capital improvement program, something that will last beyond that y'all can use down the road. Some of the things we see in your issues, you're contemplating the $30 to $40 million of improvements that was passed. As we've seen from some of the data, that could be as many as 45 to 50 projects potentially. And then some of the issues that we've sort of gleaned from early on discussions is, number one, efficiency, packaging and executing these improvements quickly to show results. Some of the issues on resource limitations to accelerate such a plan and execute that. Accountability, can't say enough about that, ensuring that the benefits of supplementing that staff are achieved, and the transparency in the communications. And there's some graphics on some of the things that we've done in public forums to make sure that that's transparent and citizens can see what the progress is on their street at any one time. And then probably the most important one is local business development. Not only as a result of these infrastructure improvements, but maybe along the journey, seeing the growth of local firms, local engineering firms, local construction firms, and providing the resources and assistance for them to grow and come out of this to be able to pursue bigger work down the road and grow. So how might this work? Number one, there's a couple organizational models. This is my upfront statement here. No one size fits all. It's what's best for y'all. The organization needs to be tailored to the need of the client and the resource requirements, and it needs to take into account the capabilities within the client organization. And sort of revisiting one of the topics, why outsource portions of the CIP management, the graphic in the upper right-hand corner pretty much sums up why you would outsource something. Your existing staff, you may have limited resources. You're looking at potentially a discrete one-time capital improvement program that needs to be delivered. Even if you're contemplating other capital improvements, you know that you can't staff up and staff down. Sometimes is the debate. Regulatory requirements, which I don't see you facing necessarily, but then also an accelerated schedule desire. A desire for knowledge sharing to support long-term growth of staff and technical resources. And just in summary, a real need to improve value, reduce the risks, and control costs. A lot of emphasis sometimes is on cost reduction and cost savings, but I can't emphasize it enough also on cost control. Programs do need to be managed and costs need to be controlled as well. One of the models that you can contemplate would be model number one, which would be a staff augmentation model. This is a sort of rudimentary stick figure diagram, one of three that we'll present here quickly. This one would be such that the orange portion would be the city and the CIP manager, the public works manager, and AECOM team, such that the engineers and the contractors would still be functioning there. This is a good model if you want to act as the overall manager. We would provide specialized staff to augment that staff. You would keep control of the program, and it would require quite a bit of time of your internal staff there. Model number two is fully outsourced management. This is where you would contract with an AECOM team. That team would not just be AECOM, it could be us and all the design elements and local businesses that could be part of that, and also involving the local engineers and local contractors to complete that. This is good to work with the owner to staff up. It provides a single point of responsibility and accountability, and the risk is totally shifted to AECOM. And number three, this one's also worked as well as to key into your staff and do sort of a parallel staffing plan there. Oftentimes, this is amenable to a lot of clients. Work together to combine the best talent, take a look at who's best from both sides of the organization, take the best from both sides, and this is where this becomes real good is knowledge transfer. This can, if you have multiple levels within the capital delivery element of your organization, there could be a lot of knowledge transfer, and that way it infuses it even more. This model was used well in Austin recently, and a lot of success stories out of that. This graphic here, this is probably something to take home and study a little bit more, but really what this says here is it's praise for what you're doing. You're involving and thinking about bringing on capital improvement program delivery at the planning stage. That is where you get the most efficient. That's where you get the highest savings opportunities in the life cycle. So it's quite possible that by involving others in the tail end of the prioritization that's going on right now, that you'll see some of those benefits. Involved in the project prioritization in the planning portion. During the design portion, you could see some design standards and guidelines that get improved that maybe y'all function and use day to day within your organization. That could be something that is of benefit. And then on the procurement, construction, and commissioning portion, that's where you'll start to see the local business development. And then just to emphasize towards the end here, we want the benefits to be beyond schedule and cost. If schedule and cost are the only benefits you want out of this program, that's good. But I would tout that, expertise, retention, we want that to stay locally. Best practices, new technologies, in terms of construction technologies, will be things that stay within the community. And then also staff development and measuring that. Efficiencies and standardization, maybe some of those procedures for how you procure, design, and let work. It could help you down the road. And then design constructs for future. So standardizing even some of your RFQs if that's of benefit to you. And then again, the local impacts, the economic and the growth within your community. And with that, I'll open it up to questions and answer. Hopefully that was a good coverage. Zubin, do you have those packets as well? We've got packets for y'all. I hope it's appropriate to approach you and give you that. That's something that's more a deeper understanding of AECOM, and wanted to leave some of those things off on the side there. Some of that is a summary of the presentation. Some of it is some discussion about AECOM and what we've done worldwide.
Mr. Godwin,
Yes, sir.
you have any questions for him?
No, I would just say that I think this type of approach, whether it's this company or not, and I just say this as we haven't spoken for so long, this type of approach I think is exactly what I would recommend to you this time.
Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Anderson, any questions? Ms. Drake?
No, I like what I see. I don't think we've seen this type of approach yet, and I like what I see here, and we'll be interested to go home and study more about your company and if this is the way we want to go, but very well done.
Ms.
I
Lancaster?
like what I see, and I would really like to go through this.
Great.
And maybe you can come back for more questions.
Sure.
Mr. Jenkins?
No questions for you. Good layout.
Mr. Wright?
I'll have questions later. I need to go through this.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for you guys to
No, I have
Have a
questions.
mountain of
Don't
material
worry.
there.
I
Mayor
have
has
plenty of
questions.
questions.
You got it.
My first question is, how did you learn of our CIP program?
Learned of our CIP program through Chris Donnan. So Chris Donnan used to work for us in Dallas and has moved to Paris. And so Chris has always stayed in touch with us. We're always networking with engineering firms throughout Texas. And within a matter of months there, I've gotten to meet folks through Hayter and HWH.
Is it your interest to come here and do the project, or is it just because you want to participate with whatever other two companies you want to participate with, or is it a joint interest of all three?
It's a joint interest. It's definitely my interest to come and help. You know, that's what drives engineers, is to help. But I was pretty clear in my discussions with HWH and Hayter that I can't do it without some local knowledge. And for me to come in and come up that learning curve at your expense is not of good value to you. Our value is to bring some of the ideas that were presented today, be a resource to you, and also supply the talent and the horses to do this on an accelerated schedule if that's what you deem necessary.
And what is your background? Are you an engineer or are you an administrative person in the company?
I'm an engineer, licensed engineer in Texas, and I've worked on plenty of programs, so this is not an uncomfortable topic for me.
How many years have you been with the company?
22 years.
And what level employee are you with the company?
I'm a vice president with the company.
Out of all the contracts that you have, how many did you present? How many presentations did you make on the go back to page, what was it, page number 2?
Okay?
Okay.
Go forward.
There.
Right there?
Yes. How many of these projects did you go and make presentations for?
Well, the Tarrant Regional Water District, Greg Hooten here, a commerce boy from down the road here. He and I worked on that one together, and we presented, and you compete for those things. That's one that I presented on. The flood control program in Bexar County, Texas, that's one that I've presented on as well, and then the Austin Clean Water Program. I did not have a strong hand in some of the other ones just because I have other capable people, and my background is water as well. So things like the school district in Fort Worth and Dallas, that's out of my wheelhouse there.
Okay. Can you go to slide number, okay, this is number 6. So explain to me what is, the first project that you've listed, what all was done in that project, and go down the list a little bit, the ones that you were involved with.
Okay. So the Tarrant Regional Water District Integrated Pipeline Program is an ongoing program. You all may have read about that in the newspapers. This is seeking raw water sources from east of Dallas, going through Corsicana down to Lake Palestine. And that's a major pipeline program. So it's 150 plus miles of pipeline of raw water there.
When was the project started?
That was started in 2010, 2009, 2010. We won it in 2009 and started in 2010. And that's still being designed and will start to be constructed in the next year or so here.
And I take it that the long process of design is because of?
The volume. This is 150 miles of pipeline.
Okay.
And land acquisition and a lot of complicated things go into that.
The second one?
Second one is the flood control program in Bexar County, Texas. So that's San Antonio. So Bexar County is the county that overlays with San Antonio. That is essentially a CIP program. They had a lot of flooding issues, as you know, in San Antonio. We've seen that recently in the news. Prior to that, there was a flood of, I believe it was 2004, that instituted the program. And that's really to relieve flooding in various parts of town. That's a $450, almost $500 million program. And that gets into not only moving water around, but it gets into property acquisition, taking folks out of the floodway. It also gets into improving property values by taking them out of the floodway in San Antonio as well. And it involves, just inherently when you're dealing with flooding issues, there's a lot of pipes and a lot of roadways that get impacted, and bridges as well.
When did you start the project?
That one started, we're in year 7 of 10 on that, so that started in 2006. So yeah, it was like 2 years after that flood that they went to referendum and got the monies for that.
And is it a completed project yet?
We're about 250 million through the 450 million right now. That's built in the ground or at least contract and let.
Were there any engineering delays?
No.
Okay. Go to the third one, please.
Third one is Austin Clean Water Program. So this was a regulatory mandate. Austin had sanitary sewer overflows, and we're required by law to fix those. That started in, you can test my memory on that one now. That started in early 2000, I want to say. And that's completed and done. That was completed on budget, on time, and had to be, otherwise they would have faced penalties.
Have you had any projects where you've had delays because of your company?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. And go to slide number 9, please. Actually, keep going for, I think I may have quoted the wrong number. Keep going.
One of these?
Stop, yeah.
Okay.
You've, I'm sure, read the CIP program and you have some idea and you've studied it. Out of these 3 models that you have presented, which model do you think suits our city better?
2 or 3.
And why is that?
Well, that's based upon an assumption here that your internal staff has a core mission. That core mission is focused on keeping things operating day in and day out. This program could interrupt that core mission. If you feel that this is going to interrupt that core mission, then you definitely need to consider, because staff augmentation is just, sorry to go back there, but that really is going to call upon Sean and other people's time there within your organization. That's pretty, you have to decide whether you want to make that investment of time or not. And it's not just Sean's time, it could be several folks' time there. These ones are a little bit less intensive on your existing staff. And again, our team would not just be AECOM, it would be local firms so that you get comfort in the delivery there as well.
And
So 2 or
out of-
3
I'm
is
sorry.
appropriate.
Okay, out of 2 and 3, what would be your pick?
Consultant answer, I look forward to working with you on that. No, most likely, if I was pressed, it's a toss-up, it really is.
We presented 3 things, so you are now the mayor and you are deciding among with, and you have to convince the rest of the council. Which of the 3?
By a slight margin, 2.
Okay, and tell me why.
I think for a first-time program that you've maybe done in a while, it's good to have clarity and responsibility there. That being said, there will have to be ownership by everyone, your internal staff, the folks in this room, moving forward on that. And it allows for the assumption of speed as well. If speed is part of your mission and giving that ownership, clearly providing that ownership, while still being responsive and responsible and accountable to you, that allows for that.
Between 2 and 3, price-wise, and price is not what we base a decision on, but what would be more expensive for the city, 2 or 3?
Most likely 3, because the inherent value you get out of 3 is knowledge transfer. If knowledge transfer is not a high priority, knowledge transfer is time that people spend together. You will get less knowledge transfer on 2 versus 3. I guess that's the pros and cons of it.
Okay. Who all is here with you from your company?
Sure, thank you. Greg Hooten, that's the commerce fellow I talked to you about on the Tarrant Regional Water District Program. And this is Zubin Sukaswala. And he works with me in Dallas as well and is friends with Chris Donnan, and that's how this came to be. And Zubin works on a lot of infrastructure programs.
Did Chris work in your company?
Chris worked for us. Chris, when did you leave?
Past November.
Yeah, so less than a year ago, and family called, and he's now moved here back to Paris.
Educate me on a technical question now.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Let me put on my hat.
You know, you keep hearing this when you replace the bigger water lines, that you're liable to break the smaller water lines. Is there any truth to that?
Be more specific. I'm not
Okay.
quite following you.
Our lines are 60, 80, 90 years
Mhm.
old. There's
Yes.
certain amount of pressure in those lines
I
because
gotcha.
of whatever.
Yes.
And then there are secondary or tertiary lines going from there.
Mm-hmm.
When you replace the primary line, what is the likelihood of secondary and tertiary lines to have problems?
The likelihood would just be in pressure management in your system. So if you put in a new system, you could see higher pressures in that system because it's a better system, right? But there's other things you can do in terms of pressure reduction as you go into another zone of your system.
I'm sorry?
As you go into another zone of your system, you can do things to reduce pressure and account for that even in design as well, such that you're not taxing the older system.
Okay.
But
So
but
in
it
other
does
word-
happen.
So in other words, if you replace the primary line,
Mhm.
it is not necessary that the tertiary and the secondary lines will break open. There are engineering ways and methods that you can design it so that it doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. This was one of the better presentations that we have had, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
I've got a
Oh.
couple of questions.
Yes, please.
He studied my materials now, he's ready.
Yeah, which project that you've done most resembles what we're doing here?
I would say the Bear County program, believe it or not, the one that's the flooding one, because it gets into
And
a
how
lot
large
of,
was it?
yeah, I can go back to that if you don't mind. There's two actually that, and I've done some other ones that aren't on here that I've been in other states. The two that I would say most compare would be Bear County. Even though that was a stormwater flooding, it gets into a lot of just infrastructure. And this was sort of a new frontier for them. And then Hayes County, the road bond program. I was not part of that, but still have plenty of staff and
You said
knowledge.
Tarrant County?
I'm sorry, Bear County,
Bear.
American.
Okay.
BEXAR. I'm sorry, the second one there, the flood control program management with Bear County.
Yeah,
And then-
and
And then the second to the last one,
how
the
long
Hayes
did
County.
it take to complete that?
We're still doing that one, that Bear County program.
Now, what
So it's
was,
not similar in schedule. I'll
what's going to be your total charges for that project?
for Bear County?
Yes.
Oh, boy. That would probably, we're in the seventh year. I have to clarify here a little bit. Program management is a collection of engineers, contractors, and potentially a management component.
You did all these with them?
Well, we had several engineering consultants that were also on that. So it's quite conceivable, this was not AECOM's fee, for the record, I guess is what I'm clarifying. They've probably spent well over $25 million to get $250 million of capital bid and out to construction right now. That was not all AECOM's fee, though, for the record. Our fee was working in tune. We have engineers and primarily engineering design firms that then report into us. We do some of the design, we do portions of the design, and then we also, because of the local component, get local firms involved, and they design that. So the total fee that Bear County's seen has roughly been about 10% of what's been designed and ready for construction.
I'm trying to figure out how much meat's going to be left on the bone,
Well,
if you will.
so I guess I'll make a comment on that there. If you have a program, there's design services that range from surveying, utility locations, engineering, and getting it ready for bid there. Those are the primary services. My intent with this presentation today is to eliminate the management component of it. For these larger programs, you definitely need more program management, and that costs more. But if you have a capital program of X dollars, it's quite likely that 10% of that is associated with designing that and getting that ready for that. So what I try to counsel most people with is you've got to get some value out of that. You either see that in terms of cost savings, you see that in hitting the schedule, you see that in controlling costs, not just cost savings. And you see it in the intangibles. The intangibles being the benefit that you receive from knowledge transfer and the growth of local firms. That I cannot measure, but that is of value.
So how long total is it going to take to complete the Bear project?
We've got 3 more years. So
And
we're in
that'd
year
be a
7 of
total
10.
How many?
We're in year 7 of 10, and so it's quite likely, over that time period, even though we're 70% on the time there, we'll see a lot of stuff being built in the next 3 to 4 years, 3.5 years there in Bear County.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How would, can I ask?
Yes, please. I have more questions too, so
Okay.
go ahead.
This is the best presentation I've ever been to, by the way.
How would your work on these other projects that you're still working on that are 2 or 3 years going out affect your responsiveness to this project? If we're looking to you, as the one person to go-to contact.
Our primary skill base will be out of our Dallas office here, and we're ready, willing, and capable. Over 125 people in that Dallas-Fort Worth office there. We can lean on some of the other offices, but for us to resource shift and get folks, I don't think you're going to need 150 people to do this by any
So
means.
will you have a team, a particular team that's dedicated to this project that won't be pulled off to go down to San Antonio or
Correct,
that kind of approach?
correct.
Any other questions from anyone else? Not yet? Any further questions from you? Okay. I have a few more questions now. What level of participation, percentage-wise, are you expecting from your firm compared with the local participants? I know you may not have a perfect answer, but
Yeah.
I want some idea as to if we decide to go with you, what percentage of work would be done by the local people?
I have no idea. I really don't. It's really, the way I see it is it's built upon what the local capabilities are. So I've only known Reeves for a couple of months here. I've only known Holland for a couple months, and I've just met Mr. Napier this evening. So my
At some point
my role is to fill in on top of that. I don't see it being over 50% of that. I'll say that much, in that would be counter to my message of making sure that local firms have a significant share of this pie here. Okay. And it really gets into schedule as well. If schedule is driving and you want to really compress that schedule and the local resources can't digest that, then that would push us closer to 50%. If it's something that's pushed out over time and the local firms can absorb that, then our role becomes less significant because we're the bench strength.
In the project that Mr. Wright had questions about, what approach was used, type 2, type 3, or type 1?
Say that again?
In the project that you explained to Mr. Wright, the Barrett County or whatever that project was.
Okay, so Bear County would most likely, Austin Clean Water Program, the third one is an integrated team there. That was knowledge transfer there. Bear County, they are the program managers there. They can change over
So
time.
that was type 1?
It was actually morphed from type, which I can't remember which one was type 1, type 2. Bear County started off like this, where it was totally outsourced to us. And what happened is towards the end, now that we're in year 7 of 10, some of that function came back in within Bear County for the knowledge transfer and is actually functioning more like this right now, to where we're staff augmentation.
I think one question you may have partially answered, and that is that you said 10% of the cost of the project. And I want to be sure, this 10% of the cost of the project, does that include oversight engineering type 1 model? And I'm not holding you to any particular number,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out in my mind.
Well,
And I'll be straight with you on this and tell you that last group of people who came, we were asking them similar questions of just them being the oversight people. rather than necessarily the engineering firm, et cetera, et cetera. And they came up with some numbers, and I'd like to know that, is this number your oversight number, or is this number your oversight, engineering, completion to the end without the contracting part, construction part, I'm sorry.
Correct. It's the latter there. So my counsel there is, of a total program cost, let's say it's 50 million for ease of math here. $5 million could conceivably go towards, the majority of that will go towards design and construction oversight, with management being a small component of that there. And so we get into the discussion of what is a total program cost and what is the total capital cost of things being constructed. And so the math there is $45 million of capital improvements that the community could see, but there is a $5 million component, whether that's funded through the referendum or a separate funding mechanism.
No, I mean,
is the
I
debate.
understand that you have to pay for engineering, so,
Correct.
okay.
Correct.
The Paris project, as much as you have studied so far, what time do you think it will take to design this project?
Oh, boy. Engineering is not going to be the bottleneck on a program like this. The bottleneck will really be the utilities. You know, oftentimes we're getting utility locates.
I'm just going to ask you the engineering part.
Engineering-
May not be the bottleneck. but
Engineering part,
give me a
definitely
number.
less than a year. 6 to 9 months is possibly achievable.
How much involvement will you, if supposing you are selected, how much involvement will you have in selection of the construction company?
The only role that firms like ours could get involved with selection of construction companies would be aiding you in the pre-qualification process for capable construction companies. We, since the construction is a competitive bidding process, for the most part, that's mandated by law. We could only assist you in the procurement process and aiding you in making sure you get qualified firms pre-qualified for that.
Should I take it that?
Those
unless
are
we
all
ask-
hard bid and most likely subject to you know, lowest, most responsible bidders.
And
Sorry.
so should I take it that if we ask you for influence on that, you can, but that's not your prerogative, and you're not your plan to interfere in it?
No, that shouldn't be our place.
Okay. Mr. Wright?
I got one follow-up question, which may sound a little crude, but who's responsible for seeing that the watchdog don't eat the bacon? For the city. Who inspects and guarantees the city's getting everything they're supposed to get?
Well, to a certain degree, that's maybe a benefit of one of the models. That could be your internal staff. If it's totally outsourced, you could then have an individual internal that is a third party, separate from the program, that could do that. We could also provide sort of a self-auditing function as well for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more question now. So in other words, if I'm taking it right, that if you are selected, you're going to let the city staff decide whether the work has been done or not, and to the specs that were asked of? Because I have a problem with that right now, I'll tell
No,
you right away. And the problem that I have with that is, if we are selecting and type 2 model, and we are saying that we are selecting it because we don't want to overburden the staff because of their pre-commitments, then why are we wanting the staff to be responsible for that?
Okay, if you don't, then what is sometimes done, I don't know if I've seen it on this level of program, is for the city to then hire a third party. And then that third party would be an owner's
Your
rep.
company will not ensure that the specs that you have provided and the construction people that they're,
I think they're asking about construction and engineering services, inspect the quality of that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
I think you misunderstood the question.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Holland, you can answer.
What you're asking about is construction administrative services, inspecting the quality of the assets you put in the ground.
Correct. Correct.
That would then be, that would be a function of then so you have the remaining planning component that could be part of these services, hopefully minor, get to design and the surveying component, and then the construction oversight. And then that would be on top of us to help manage the contracts and the specifications as they are.
That's what you were asking, right?
Yes.
That's what we wanted to know.
Okay, I'm sorry, I
Now,
totally
having
missed
said
that one.
what did you answer? Since I'm now confused.
Okay.
Because
Boy,
that's what I wanted to know.
I've really stepped in it. So the question that I perceived was, did you get $45 million of value of capital stuff in the ground there?
Okay, that was not the question. Okay.
Okay.
Anyone has any other questions? No. Mr. Godwin?
No, sir.
Mr. Napier? And the young man right there who's been helping us throughout? No? Anybody else? Thank you very much for
Thank
coming.
you.
And thank
Really
you for your
enjoyed it.
presentation.
Thank you.
Had a lot of fun, enjoyed it.
Jean, is there anybody else? No? Okay. So with that, item number 3 is discuss and possibly act on city manager's return to work. Who's talking about this? Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, the question was, until Monday, we didn't know that we were or we weren't going to get a letter from the doctor.
Okay.
And now that we got it, and I noticed one thing that was a little bit unusual about the letter. It's dated the 22nd, but it qualifies Mr. Godwin to come back to work on the 19th, which was like writing a letter saying you're okay to go to work last week. And I wondered why that was on there.
The original letter came from Dr. Kelly Johnson, who's an RN. That was sent prior to the 19th, and it was my understanding that the council wanted a letter not only from the PhD, but also from an MD. So I sent that over, and by the time the MD sent it, it was a few days later. But the original letter was dated, I think, the 16th to the 17th to the 14th, something like that. I was actually cleared by the doctor the first week of August.
Thank you for answering, Mr. Godwin. Does anyone have any questions about this? Ms. Drake, I know you may have had a tiring day.
I'm just glad that we finally got it from the doctor, and sorry it took so long is the only thing that I have to say. But we're glad you're back and hope you continue to improve. Just get us what we ask the next time.
Anybody else? No. All right, welcome back. And with that, item number 4, Mr. Frierson is missing, so I'll say ask for adjournment.
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.